Contents of this box want to know who you're going to call. I don't remember the first time I saw the Ghostbusters role-playing game, and at the time I saw it first, I had no idea how important it was or how important it would become. 30 years later, now I do know how important it was, and I'm finally able to say that I have a copy. I'm very glad to see the care with which the original owner has packed it up to send to me, with lots of bubble wrap and additional packing envelopes. Also wrapped up in a raincoat for extra protection. Although not a mint copy, it was an excellent price and in excellent shape with all of its original pieces except for the ghost die. But fortunately for us, there's another place online that you can get the ghost die. More on that later. For the Ghostbusters role-playing game, who are you going to call? Well, in this case, it was West End Games, and a star-studded list of game designers, including one of my favorites, Sandy Peterson, who put together a game that, I don't think it's exaggerating to say, changed gaming. In my experience, finding a game with the cards uncut is unheard of. Ghostbusters is described as the first rules-light game, but it goes beyond this. Ghostbusters is also credited as being the first die pool game. So no longer were you rolling one die versus a target number. You were rolling multiple dice. The game came with a few d6 and the ghost die. My copy of the game didn't come with the original dice, but as I mentioned earlier, it did come with its cards uncut. Now the cards in the game took care of things like your gear, just making it very simple to get into a game. This is the stuff that you're carrying. Also, in addition to all the gear, they provided things like character sheets for the characters in the film. Again, so you could very simply just start playing. It's all based around speed and fun and, well, the color green. That color green, the original source material, and the writing team of such greats as Sandy Peterson and Lynn Willis and Greg Stafford, well, coming from the people who gave us Paranoia, maybe it wasn't too much of a stretch to expect a fun and funny game. But this game delivers. Just take a look at the back of the box. You recognize the very specific Reitman and Aykroyd flavored writing, but it gets right down to it in the description. Ghostbusters is a complete role-playing game, ready for use right out of the box. That's kind of standard language for the day. Featuring an innovative streamlined system. Ghostbusters accents role-playing, not number crunching, table scanning, and rules referencing. Most gamers can open the box, set up the game, and begin busting spooks, spuds, and noxious vapors within 10 minutes. Quite a claim. Perhaps one of the things that help back up that claim is this game's focus on realia, perhaps aided by the experience producing similar things for Call of Cthulhu. The game comes with franchise agreements. Your players, it is assumed, hold a franchise, an international franchise, for a Ghostbusters branch. It comes with things like a will. It has some maps and that sort of thing to get you going quickly. It has your permit and guides to what you'll actually be busting, and amusingly, a release from damages, that sort of thing. All packaged in the quick rules, the what's called reference file. Now, the operations manual is, a medium-sized book, especially compared to the very, very light training manual. And as you'd expect, there's a mixture of photography and, black and white art. Lots of quotes. Medium-size font, single column, spreads through, and, becoming a Ghostbuster. And as you go through, the text is punctuated or explained by, pithy quotes from each of the movie characters in a variety of art styles. Like I mentioned before, the game introduced the concept of the dice pool, and this would be carried forward into what would become D6 by way of Star Wars. It also introduces brownie points. They were ways for you to contribute narratively to the flow of the game. Now, interestingly, unlike, let's say, modern systems, where if the players are doing well, they'll earn some kind of point, and if they need that, they need some kind of boost or augmentation, or if they want to make some kind of dramatic edit, then they can spend the point. That is the traditional economy. In Ghostbusters, the economy worked differently. When the Ghostbusters are doing badly, they lose points. They start getting traffic tickets, fines, permits, EPA inspectors, that sort of thing. When they're doing well, they start earning the brownie points, and this begins to magnify their ability. Interesting. Throughout, a light, fast tone is maintained, as you can see. It's mine too. Now, when I mentioned earlier the game was light, I wasn't kidding. Look at some of these headers. Some game rules. Beating someone else. Injury. That's that short section. And encumbrance. That's the training manual. The operations manual, well, it looks a little different. It maintains an older style, the 3-column small font approach. It has advice for the GM, who in this game was called the Ghostmaster, has scenarios and that sort of thing. Talking about the Ghostbuster franchises, how to set up your franchise, how to run the Ghostbuster campaigns, adventure ideas, right? All packed into this 62-page booklet, backed with an early advertisement for Paranoia. Now, those who are paying attention to the list of names I mentioned, well, you'll know that those people were the Chaosium. They were assigned with Chaosium's biggest games. Yet here we are working for West End Games, and the introduction explains some of that. They talk about the fun of the film, and they talk about the design process where they explore the wide open kind of new pulp flavor of the genre. And then they get into mechanics where they talk about wanting to focus on a lighter system as they've done with Paranoia, but also the introduction of what we know today as a wild die. In this game, the ghost die. It's really interesting to hear their voices from way back in 1986. Parts of the book address the reader directly in a tongue-in-cheek and often humorous tone, and then other parts of the book are, again, constructed with this careful, realistic design. The Ghostbuster franchises are, for the most part, described as a franchise agreement would be presented to a person, but with little bits of Game Master advice salted in. All in all, it makes it a very easy read. To give an idea of how light the game is, take a look at the gear card for the Proton Pack. Success weakens the ghost. 2 packs together can guide a ghost to the trap. Uses move trait to fire the Proton Pack talent. Or Ecto 1. Holds equipment in Ghostbusters and moves them from place to place. Simple. This simplicity is carried forward onto the ID card, or character sheet. You have a name. The traits are brains, muscles, moves, and cool. There's a chart for brownie points, your goal, your phone number, your residence, and your telex. So let's take a look at Dana Barrett. Brains of 3, library search. Muscles of 2, climb. Moves of 5, play cello, and cool, 3, and spurn advances. Her goal is serving humanity. There's her phone number, if you want to give her a call back in time, and her residence, New York City. Compare that to Janine. Brains 4, muscles 2, moves 2, cool 5. She's got bureaucratics, grapple, drive, and convince. Character creation. Because of short lists of talents like remember the bureaucratics talent that Janine has associated with her brains, there's short lists of talents that you can assign to your traits. And as you go through the traits, you go through from page 2 to page 8. That's character creation. There's a short description of the specific trait, like muscles or wealth or the brownie points, moves, cool, and brains, with the things that support them. All right, so 6 pages of character creation. Then we get into the rules. The rules go from page 10 to page 19. And that's it. After that follows a description of the supernatural creatures. And that's the training manual. I think the claim of you can play in 10 minutes is probably justified. Now, for those interested in playing the game who, like me, have come across a set that, is missing the dice or missing some of the other pieces, all is not lost. And one resource that you can make use of is the Nerdy Show, and I'll put a link in the description below. And from them, you can order some custom-made dice, including laser-cut ghost dice, and get things like franchising forms and waivers and the like, just to add a little bit more of that fun realia to your game. Excellent. And listening to their podcast is also a good source of humor as well, and you can see the game in all its glory. There were 2 editions of the game, one in '86, this is this version, and one in '89, which was called Ghostbusters International. And it extended the rules a bit, cleaned some things up. But this is the version that I have wanted since I first saw it way, way, way back in the '80s. And it's finally mine. So, for a West End Games, who am I going to call? Apparently, I'm calling the Chaosium. The Chaosium Brain Trust, powering the first dice pool game that would lead to D6 and inspire many designers in many different genres, from Ars Magica to Vampire the Masquerade to Over the Edge, and considering dice pools, even Shadowrun. Amazing. And any game with a wild die or brownie points, really, you're looking at the source right here. Ghostbusters, a frightfully cheerful role-playing game from 1986.